Here we have a Baal Shem Tov story. I think I told this story before, but I'll tell it again. Once a person went to the Baal Shem Tov. Who was the Baal Shem Tov? The Baal Shem Tov was a Jew. This rabbi, his name was Yisrael Baal Shem. What was his name? He lived about 300 years ago in the Ukraine. And he brought a refreshing idea of what Judaism is, which basically that's what Judaism always was, but it was just forgotten, that God is infinitely close to us, and that God, on the other hand, is infinitely further than we can possibly imagine. He's above the spiritual, and that God gave the Torah, and that God cares about the Torah, and that God reacts to what we do, and that everyone, no matter who, can always come close to God, no matter where you are. Okay, a lot of other what happens when you do a commandment, how God reacts to the commandments, etc. But in addition to this, the Baal Shem Tov was also a tremendous Talmudic genius, and also he knew Kabbalah, the secrets of the Torah. There was once a man who was also a big Talmid Chacham, a tremendous Torah scholar, religious person, knew Kabbalah, knew the secrets of Kabbalah, mystical Judaism, but he didn't actually have the talents that the Baal Shem Tov did practically. So one thing he heard that the Baal Shem Tov knew how to understand the speech of the birds. What do birds say? Who cares about understanding this? So it says one of the things that it was the sign that King Solomon had knowledge is that he understood the speech of the birds. And so it seems that when God brings anything into the world, and first of all, you can how do you say, this can be it makes an impression on the upper worlds, and it comes down through the wind and through the trees and through this, and there's people that can understand this. They can understand this, the speech of the birds, sichat of tziporim, of the dekalim, of this. Okay, so this man came to the Baal Shem Tov and he said, here are my credentials. I was a rabbi here. I was a rabbi here. I know this tractate. I know all the tractates. I know this book of Kabbalah. I want to learn how to understand the birds. So the Baal Shem Tov said, I'm not going to teach you. It's not worth your while. You're just going to lose. I said, oh, come on, please. I mean, the reason you know Torah is not to keep it to yourself. You have to teach. That's who you are. You're a teacher. You have to teach me. Baal Shem Tov said, listen, I'm telling you, it's not going to benefit you if you learn this. So he's thinking to himself, the Baal Shem Tov obviously doesn't want to teach me because he's afraid that I'll achieve his level and I'll be a competition to him. And just simple jealousy. Anyway, no, despite all the Baal Shem Tov's refusals, as this man is knocking on his door, his window, and was sitting on his doorstep day and night for a week, 2 weeks, until finally Baal Shem Tov says, okay, if that's what you want, you're not going to let me alone, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be for your good, but okay. So the Baal Shem Tov teaches him how to speak, how to understand the birds. So he had to do these fasts and these prayers and these meditations and contemplations and unifications and things like that. And finally, and this person did, of course, he passed, all the courses with flying colors. He was caught everything immediately. So the way it went, that this person had to go out to the certain place in the middle of the forest, and he could go once a month. He got to go at a certain time, and then he wouldn't understand the birds. So this man did what the Baal Shem Tov said, and he learned everything, and he went to the appointed place, and said the prayers, the unifications, whatever he had to do, and suddenly it made sense, and he heard that the birds were saying what's going to happen in China, what's going to happen in Japan, what's going to happen in Russia, and one of the birds said, there's this fellow Grois, this rich guy. That man, he just learned how to understand us. Well, tomorrow, all of his ships are going to sink. He has like 30 ships laden with merchandise at the docks, and tomorrow there's going to be a storm, and they're all going to sink. So that's it. So this fellow Grois, that's him. So he runs to the docks, and he starts bribing officials and ordering people what to do. None of my ships sail tomorrow. And they're trying to complain, listen, you can't do this. Other ships that are waiting. We have an order. So he gave nice big bribes to everyone. And sure enough, they didn't go. The next day, all of a sudden, there was this tremendous, like cyclone, hurricane, whatever it's called, tsunami, and all of the ships that were at sea sunk. And his ships, because they took up the whole, all the docks, as they didn't sink. So now he had a monopoly on the whole shipping business. All the other ships sank and his didn't. So he's saying to himself, the Baal Shem Tov was wrong. I benefited tremendously from understanding the birds. Obviously, the Baal Shem Tov did not want competition. That's why he didn't want to lead. Teach me. That's why he didn't want to teach me. And I'm so happy that I forced myself. Anyway, so this person does the same thing next month. You can only do it once a month. Next month, he makes all the preparations and the fasts and the prayers. He goes out to the appointed place in the forest at the appointed time, and he hears the birds talking, and the birds are saying what's going to be in China, what's going to be in England, what's going to be in France, what's going to happen in the South America. And suddenly, one of the birds says, the end of this fellow Grois, the one who saved all of his ships. Well, tomorrow there's going to be a big fire in his house, in his mansion, and it's going to burn the whole thing down, including all the papers that he's got, all the stocks, all the deeds that he has to all of his land. He's going to lose a fortune. So he runs home and he tells everyone to leave the house. He gives everybody a week leave with paid leave, and he brings a special group of a policeman, and they check the house. They go and checking the house. They're just checking the house constantly to see. And sure enough, they found that there was one room where there was one of the old maids that was there, and she left a fire burning, a candle burning, and it caught onto one of the drapes, and they immediately caught onto it and they put it out, thereby saving him who knows how many millions and millions of dollars. So he said to himself, look, it was a good thing that I understood the birds. Well, I can't figure out, I thought the Baal Shem Tov was a holy man. Why didn't he want to teach me? Jealousy, who knows? Anyway, the next month, the fellow goes out. He makes the same preparations and goes out to the appointed place at the appointed time. Here's the birds talking. The birds say what's going to happen in Africa and what's going to happen in Spain, what's going to happen in France. One of them says, that fellow Grois, and the one that saved his ships and saved his house, well, in 3 days he's going to die. So Grois is listening. He says, what am I going to do now? So maybe birds have some details, where it's going to be nothing. Just the wind is blowing. So he gets in his carriage, drives to the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov says, you got to save me. You got to help me. So the Baal Shem Tov, what happened? So, well, I saved my ships, I saved my house, but now the birds said that I'm going to die. So what can I do to save myself? So the Baal Shem Tov said, I told you it wasn't going to be for your benefit. If your ships would have sunk, as that would have been a forgiveness for any sins, mistakes that you did, that would have wiped the slate clean. But you didn't. You saved your ships. So if your house would have burned down, then that would have saved you again. God gave you another chance. But you didn't. You let it go. So now you've saved your money, but you haven't saved your life. All I can tell you is maybe what will save you is give all of your money away, including your house, everything, and go around wandering. You have to do it immediately today, and go wandering around like a beggar, and maybe that will bring you forgiveness. That's the only thing. So we see that sometimes too much knowledge and too much power and too much certainty trying to take things out of God's hands and putting them only in your hands can be a not good idea. And that's why it says, by the way, Mashiach is going to come. Mashiach is going to come when we leave things up to God. Have a good day with Mashiach now. We'll see each other tomorrow.